So pursuant to Senate Bill 2475, signed into law by Governor Baker on June 16th of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A, Section 18. This meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee will be conducted via remote participation. All meetings listed on the agenda will be done through a remote participation. Specific information, the general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the town's website. We list a telephone number that the public can call into. And I'll just note that all votes taken tonight need to be taken by roll call vote pursuant to that remote meeting law. I will do my best to run the meeting to start because item 4 is when we elect the chairperson, vice chair, and the clerk. Hi, Jason. Nice to see you. So I will just give a minute about myself. I'll let the staff introduce themselves. I'll call on each individual one of you to just say what your name is, any board or commission that you were appointed from, or if you're an at-large member. And then I just have some opening remarks before we run into the open meeting law item number 2. So my name is Kristen Lass. I think I know most of you. I'm the assistant town manager and oversee the land use and health and human services divisions within the town of Shrewsbury. And I'm really excited to kick off the Community Preservation Committee's first meeting. I'll turn it over to Bernie Cahill to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Bernie Cahill. I know some of you already. I'm the town planner, and likewise, it's exciting to get this process going. I'll hand it over to Rowan.
Hi, my name is Rowan McAllister. I'm the assistant town planner, and like Bernie and Kristen said, I'm excited to get this off the ground with you all and learn as we go.
Great. So I'll just say the names as I see you on my screen, no particular order at all. Just again, introduce yourself with your name, any board or commission that you're associated with in CPA. And if you want to share one fun fact about yourself, feel free so we can kind of get to know each other. So I see Kathy McSweeney first on my screen.
Hi, I'm Kathy McSweeney. I am representing the Shrewsbury Housing Authority. And fun fact is I did stay up and watch that entire football game last night and loved every second of it.
Deborah?
I'm Deborah Mooney. I'm one of the at-large members, and I guess fun fact, I already let it out, I love spending time in Vermont. So I have lots of inspiration about things that they do really well there that hopefully we can bring home.
Great. Gail?
Hi, Gail Aslanian, and I represent the Historical Commission. Too many fun things to list, but I'm really excited. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so happy to be able to serve on this committee and get everything going. So thank you everybody for joining in on that. I'm really anxious, and I guess that's going to be fun to do, getting things done. That's fun.
Great. Melanie?
Hi, I'm Melanie McGee. I am with the Trails Committee, which is the most unofficial committee you could possibly have. And I was elected by 3 people who were in the room at the time, I believe, to be the chair of it. So that's my fun fact, I guess.
Great. Martha?
Hi, everybody. I'm Martha Gatch. I am here from the Conservation Commission. And I guess a fun fact is that I've been heavily involved in Girl Scouts, but I am no longer selling cookies.
Great. Just if you're not speaking, it really helps with feedback if you are able to mute yourself. It's just one of the tricks of the trade that we've learned in this Google Meet. So thank you so much for that. Steve Boulay.
Steve Boulay or Goulet?
Boulay.
Oh, Boulay, thank you. Steve Boulay, I'm an appointed member from the planning board. Not necessarily a fun fact, but I've also been quite involved with the town. I've been a town meeting member for pretty close to 30 years now. So I've got a little bit of experience with that end of it too. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone here as well.
Great. Rajesh?
Hi, team. I'm Rajesh Velagapudi. I'm a member at large. Fun fact: of all the bad things in COVID, I realized that I'm a better woodwork person than I initially thought. So, thank you.
Great. Jim?
Good evening, folks. My name is Jim LeMay. I'm part of the Parks and Cemetery Commission. Fun fact about me, father of 5, who had daughters that worked with Martha many, many years with Girl Scout cookies.
Great connection. And last but not least, Jason. You're on mute.
There we go. The famous phrase for the last 2 years, right? You're on mute. Jason Molina here, appointed as one of the at-large members. And Rajesh, I would echo that too. Woodworking has definitely been, I've had a lot of time to do that. So I've had several COVID woodworking projects and looking forward to more projects. I'm working on some stairs right now. So fun stuff. And really excited, seeing this come to fruition. It's been a couple years since we journeyed down this path to get CPA adopted in Shrewsbury, and finally to this moment to have the committee formed and ready to take action here. So love it. Can't wait to work with all of you.
Great. Thanks so much for all your introductions. I got to learn a little bit more about you that I haven't known before. So just to kick things off further, just had some opening remarks that I wanted to give, that the town and its residents have really worked hard to adopt the Community Preservation Act and assemble this committee. As you know, and have maybe been even involved in, CPA passed via citizens petition warrant on the town meeting warrant on August of 2020 and in a ballot referendum of November of 2020. So that adoption of the CPA highlights Shrewsbury's commitment to strengthening the qualities to make this community even greater than it is today. The CPA Act allows the CPA communities to create a local community preservation fund, and that fund was done so. The community preservation committees are charged with administering the fund, and these funds are raised locally through the surcharge of not more than a 3% tax. In Shrewsbury's case, it is a 1% tax levy against real property. The state also maintains a community preservation trust fund, which distributes funds each year to CPA communities. And the funds and the CPA in turn must target 3 key areas of focus: protecting and maintaining historic buildings and landmarks, creating and advocating for housing that is affordable to all, and protecting and enhancing our green space and recreational properties. The town meeting on May 22nd of 2021 adopted the CPA bylaw that lays out the responsibilities of the committee and the funds. The Board of Selectmen have been tasked with appointing the CPA committee and administering the core focus areas and upholding those values of the Act. The CPC, so the Community Preservation Committee, so we'll shorthand it a little bit, will undertake a number of responsibilities as defined by the CPA bylaw. This will include in the near term and continuing over time, studying the needs, possibilities, and resources of the town in regards to community preservation. And then over time, although not yet, certainly not tonight, the CPA will also review and recommend projects to town meeting for approval. And the staff, primarily Rowan, moving forward, will assist the committees in the record keeping, the agenda setting, and the budgeting. So again, we're really looking forward to working with you to creating a meaningful change for the town of Shrewsbury. This meeting tonight is really meant to just be the kickoff and setting the stage. We're really not going to dig too deep into anything related to projects or priorities or anything like that. We have some work to do with getting all of ourselves trained up on what's required. So with that, I wanted to move forward to just some housekeeping items related to reviewing of the open meeting law, reviewing the actual bylaw that was adopted, the state legislation, and the overview of the committee's responsibilities. So are there any questions before we dig into that? Okay,
No.
Awesome. So some of you are already on public boards and committees and must abide by the open meeting law. which is the Massachusetts State Open Meeting Law. We put together a Google Drive for the Community Preservation Committee. And some of you who are on other boards and committees may be familiar with that. Was everyone able to reach or get into the Google Drive folder? Okay. If anyone feels that they need training or help with that, please feel free to reach out to Rowan. But in that, we did include a link to the open meeting law. So all of our meetings must be posted 48 hours in advance of the meeting. And Rowan will be available to help with posting of those meetings. And we must conduct all of our business in context with that. So all votes that are going to be taken must be listed on the agenda. If we're meeting remotely, everything must be a roll call vote. We must have a quorum to vote on any items. We must take minutes and approve those minutes in a timely fashion in accordance with open meeting law. So we did provide the guidebook, which is about a 48-page guidebook on your Google Drive. And just ask that you skim over that if you haven't already. And if you ask, you can ask Rowan or myself or Bernie if you have any questions. But we feel that it's really important that we train you in advance on what open meeting law is and that we abide by that. We don't want an open meeting law violation moving forward through the town. So just wanted to start with that. And then we also put into your Google Drive the actual bylaw that was adopted at town meeting, May 22nd of 2021, that outlines who consists of the CPA committee. So 9 members voting. We have our Conservation Commission delegate, Historical Commission, Planning Board, Parks, Cemetery, Housing Authority delegate, and then the 4 at-large members that are appointed by the Board of Selectmen. Chapter 2 outlines the duties of the committee. So first, starting to study the needs and the possibilities and the resources in the town, and then moving forward through collecting projects and then public hearings on those projects and then moving forward that process. So we're really going to dig a little bit deeper into that when we have the training with the Community Preservation Coalition. But if you haven't already, I do urge you to review the bylaw that is now under our general bylaw on the town clerk's website. We also have it here in your meeting packet. I'm switching through multiple screens. And then there's also the state legislation that lays out the Community Preservation Act. So we recommend that you review that as well if you have not already. So there's a lot of laws and rules and regulations that set the stage. So we're not reinventing the wheel, and there's many, many communities that have come before us to do that. So does anyone have any questions on kind of those guiding documents or principal documents? All right, great. So what we'll do at this point is we'll move on to elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk. And this is always a little bit awkward for a first meeting where we don't have a former chairperson and we haven't discussed this. We haven't met as a group before. Some of you may not even know each other. And we can take this all as one motion to as a motion to elect the chair, the vice chair, or the clerk, or as different motions. So we'll kind of take what the pleasure of the committee is related to that. Does anyone have a recommendation? Yeah, Jason.
I think we should do them one at a time so that you can see if there's multiples for one position, then we nail one down, and then we move on to the next one and see if that same person is interested in the other positions.
All right, so do we have a motion to nominate a chairperson for the CPA committee? Melanie? You're on mute. There should be a button on your screen with a microphone.
Can you unmute her, Kristen?
I can't. I can only mute people. I cannot unmute people. Bernie, I'm on my iPad. Are you on a computer that you could give a little bit more directions on where the unmute button is?
Yeah, I'm on a laptop PC. Melanie, can you type to us in the message what kind of hardware you are using, and we can figure it out? There should be a button on the bottom left.
Here we are.
There
All
we
right,
go.
that's better? Okay, I was trying to click the thing on the upper corner of my screen and it wasn't doing the thing. All right, I would like to nominate Jason Molini to be the chair of this committee. He has been invaluable in getting this passed as a bylaw and knows a great deal about it. And I think he made a good person.
I second that nomination.
All right, so because we don't have a chair, I will run through. There's been a motion and a second, so I'll do a roll call vote. If you're in favor, say yes or aye. If you're not in favor, say no. And I'm just going to do it as I see people on my screen. So Kathy,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Rashish,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a majority unanimous vote for Jason Molina to become chair. So I will then turn this meeting over to him to proceed forward. And I may interject here and there with some prepared comments that we have. I hope you don't mind, Jason.
No, please, thank you, and thank you for shepherding it through as well. Yes,
right,
really
I'll
appreciate it. Thank you for
leave-
the nomination. Thank you, Melanie and Gail for that, and thank you for all of you on this call in supporting the nomination. Appreciate it, and certainly bear with me as I make the motions and get me tell me if I'm going wrong. Okay. Do we have a nomination for a vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Deborah Mooney for vice chair.
Second.
I will second that, Jason.
Okay. We have a motion and a seconding. We can now take a vote on the nomination of Deb Mooney for vice chair. And we'll start off with how I see this folks on my screen. Steve?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Rajesh?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And Deb?
I guess yes.
Okay, then. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So
And
now
I
we
would
have a
be
vice-
remiss, I apologize, that we do have the officer duties in the Google Drive. I hope you're able to review them in advance of the meeting. I apologize for not bringing that up before we nominated Jason.
It was there, yes. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Okay, next up is clerk. Do we have a nomination for the clerk position? No, don't be shy now. Kath McSweeney?
I nominate Melanie McGee as clerk.
I second that. Okay. We have a motion and a second. And on to the votes. Deb? You're mute. Okay. Steve?
Yes.
Rajesh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Okay. And Martha?
Yes.
Okay. And missing Jim.
Yes.
Okay. And Melanie, of course.
Yes.
Okay. All right then. Got everybody here? And myself, yes. All right, good. All right, then. Officers have been elected. That concludes item 4, which is review and act to elect officers. The chair, vice chair, and clerk have been selected. Moving on to the next topic of discussion tonight, which is the vote to host, discuss and vote to host the Community Preservation Coalition. They have proposed a training to be held on Monday, November 4th, 2021. Just to say a piece about the coalition, I've personally worked with them for quite many hours in the run up to lead into the Community Preservation Act being advocated for and finally voted on in Shrewsbury. They're a phenomenal group. Their sole focus is the adoption and support of Community Preservation Act in Massachusetts across the board. Very invaluable resource. I can't speak highly enough for them. And I've actually was so excited about their trainings that they had a little kickoff, a short version of it recently, which I attended a webinar on that. And so I know that it's going to be a valuable conversation to have in a broader context for us and a wider focus for us for new members. So would anybody else like to speak up relative to this agenda item before we take a vote? I see Gail first. Gail?
Yep, I agree, Jason. I was also on that boot camp presentation, and even though a lot of it was already known by myself through being through this whole process, it was a fantastic presentation. And even though it was capsulized and it's going to be larger for the main presentation, I can't stress enough how important it will be for everybody to participate in that in service. So it's invaluable. You'll learn everything you need to know, and you'll be able to ask questions. So I wholly recommend that we go through with that. Recommend it to everybody.
Okay, thank you. I saw Kathy's hand next.
My only comment, Jason, is I think you said it was a Monday, that November 4th is a Thursday.
So just to clarify, it is going to be Monday, November 1st, not Thursday. We did have a slight error. So
Okay.
when there is a motion, we'd ask for Monday, November 1st.
Thank you.
And that is going to be a full 2 hours based upon our conversations with the coalition.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. All right, Steve.
Yeah, just a quick clarifying question. So I know on my board, we're on 1-year terms. Is this training going to be available for future members of different boards coming in? Do you know, or is this a one-time only?
So as I understand it from the coalition, this is something they'd like to do on a regular basis as new communities come on board, and also to with adoption of CPA, and also to train and retrain folks that are coming into the CPC. So as you said, next year there'll be a new cast of folks coming in, and so that could be an opportunity to retrain them.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Gail?
I believe they're also going to be providing the presentation that Jason and I saw online. So if, it would be available whenever anybody wanted to see it, and the resources would also be available. So they're getting that together. So hopefully by the end of October, they'll have that available to all of us, which would be, you could watch it at your leisure, at 12 o'clock at night if you wanted to.
Okay, thank you. Kristen?
Sure. I just also wanted to note to the committee that the coalition has offered to do a staff training the afternoon of November 1st to train our planning staff, conservation commission staff, accounting staff, treasurer collector, and parks and recreation, public buildings, historic. So our staff will also be trained in a staff level training. And I wanted to make sure that the committee was aware. So we won't be as blind as, we'll be as trained as all of you as well, and ready to move forward with you all as well.
Okay, thank you for that heads up, Kristen. Jim?
Yes, so Kristen, regarding that, so on my calendar, I have the November 1st training meeting invite, if you will, and you mentioned the staff training. Is that open to us as well, or should we be just planning on going to that one that's going to be on at 6 o'clock at night on the 1st?
The staff training is really geared towards the staff end, and the evening is really trained towards the committee members. So I'd recommend that if you are available for the 6 p.m. that you do that. If there's some sort of major conflict, I'm sure we could get you into the staff training, but I think we should keep it as separate as possible.
Fair enough. Thanks, Kristen.
Any other questions or comments relative to item 5? Okay, hearing none. So this is a vote to have the Community Preservation Coalition come in for a training on Monday, November 1st at 6 p.m. for a period of 2 hours minimum to cover that topic. Do we need a motion for this, or can we go straight to a vote?
I'd
Kristen?
recommend you do a motion and a second.
Okay. Martha?
I so move.
Okay, we need a a motion to hold
I-
the.
Yep, she did.
Oops.
She said so move, so we're good.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. All right, let's go and roll call vote. Deb?
We need a second.
Oh, sorry.
Second it.
Second.
Rajesh seconded. All right, on to a vote on this. Deb?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Jim? Rajesh?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And let's see, who else? Myself, yes, and am I missing somebody here?
Steve.
Steve, sorry, Steve.
Yes.
Steph, yes, thank you. You know, I'll tell you, it'll be great if we can get in person so I can make eye contact and just go down the line. Otherwise, folks are just popping in and out of my screen here, as you are seeing as well. So, okay, thank you very much. So we have an anonymous yes to having the coalition come for a meeting on November 1st. All right, that concludes item 5. Moving on to item 6, town staff report on available funds. I take it that Kristen, that will be yourself or Rowan?
Yes, I'll take
Thank
that.
you.
Rowan will certainly take it in the future. So I just wanted to report to the committee that we do have funds currently in the CPA account. We've billed for first and second quarter and have collected $169,649. So that's about as much as we'll collect per quarter. It doesn't mean we can spend it tomorrow, but I did want to just give the committee that baseline of where we are at right now as we move forward.
Okay. Kristen, sorry, could you repeat that number again, please, and the time frame that it covers?
Absolutely. So this is the first quarter, so July 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2021. We have $169,649 in the account.
Q1. Okay, great. All right, and that is local receipts.
Correct.
Not including what the state would kick in from the trust fund.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Looks like Rajesh has a question.
Those funds roll over, or those are use or lose sort of funds?
Rollover.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And the coalition will give an in-depth explanation about monies going into specific accounts and what are the requirements around that. Jim?
Yeah, so Kristen, so thank you for allowing questions on this. Is that monies that are collected or billed? And I don't mean to be pedantic about it, but I just wanted to make sure I understood how that works.
That is collected. That is not billed. So that's a great question. That is what we've collected for quarter 1. We believe we've done a pretty good collection. I did speak with the town accountant last week, so I can get some more detailed information for your next meeting on billed versus actually collected.
Thank you.
Okay. All Any other questions relative to that disclosure about Q1 collections? Okay, hearing none. Kristen, was there anything else to report in this item?
Nothing more on item 6.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on to item 7, review applicable studies and reports to CPA.
Jason, I can field that one. So
Yeah, let's turn that to Bernie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So I know some of you are familiar with some of these reports, but there are some new faces I don't see every day. So I just wanted to bring these up to your attention. And I think it's really important that these get reviewed because as CPA comes up with their own report and priorities, it's important that, well, one, it's important that you're not overlapping or I should say, reinventing the wheel, right? Some of these have already been done, so you don't have to do the legwork on them, but we have the open space and recreation plan was recently given its final approval by DCS about 2 weeks ago now. This is a great resource. You can go to the open space and recreation plan website. We now have the finalized version up there. I think that will be one of your big go-tos, I think, as we go through this, as we get this committee up and running. The other one is, of course, the master plan for the town, which is completed in 2016 and is still very active. There are lots of subsections in the task list of things to do for the town around which are relevant to CPA. Not everything, obviously, but there is a couple big sections there that I would recommend taking a look at. You can find that right on the planning board homepage or the planning and economic development homepage. The other one is the housing production plan, also available on the planning department, at least the planning department homepage. That, if you're not familiar with it, kind of lays out a strategy for housing production and housing needs in Shrewsbury. And of course, one of the parts of CPC, this Community Preservation Committees and the charges is, of course, around affordable housing. So that's definitely a good document to look at and get yourself familiar with. And then finally, I kind of thought of this late, but I think Complete Streets, for those of you who don't know what Complete Streets is, it's an initiative by the state. It's practically across every state in the country at this point. But the idea is that streets are made for not just for automobiles, but also for pedestrians and cyclists, people with strollers, people in wheelchairs, et cetera, and that we want to make sure and encourage communities to continue advocating and pushing for these this type of infrastructure and making these networks connect to one another and providing these amenities to everyone. And I think in the COVID world, we can all agree that kind of comes under open space and recreation, and certainly under health, being able to get outdoors and move around. I think that's become a very obvious thing to many people. So those are kind of 4 of the bigger ones. Kristen, I don't know, did I miss anyone that you were thinking of that?
So Jim might be able to help us. I think that the Parks Department and the Parks and Cemetery Commission have worked on area-specific master plans that he can probably speak to. And I also did just want to note before I turn it over to Jim that I think Rowan put the OSRP, the Housing Production Plan, and the master plan in your folder for this evening, so you can access them quickly there as well. And Jim, if you can let us know of any parks and cemetery plans that we should be aware of.
Yeah, so there are 2. So thank you, Kristen and Jason and Bernie. Thank you for allowing this. So yeah, there are 2 things to talk about, items to note, right? So the Parks and Cemetery Commission just recently held an open meeting to talk about a new cemetery proposal at Prospect Park. So that's one thing of item to note. And then there was a plan developed. We had an outside consulting team come in and look at multiple fields within the town that are currently public use, Dean Park being one of them, the Foundation being one of them, and Lake Street being another one. So those are all available as well. I can get you, Jason, or whoever needs it, I can get you the link to both of those plans if need be.
Yeah, Jim, if you want to get them to Rowan, she'll get them up on your Google Drive. And we also have started a town webpage for the Community Preservation Commission, so we will start collecting information there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Jim, making that available later. Okay, Rajesh, you have a question?
I think Jim already mentioned this. So I was was trying to request, can we put all those reports and relevant information into the OneDrive so we can access? Thank you.
I think one of the things for sure that there's no shortage of documentation to help us get started on this, and certainly the master plan is a nice meaty document. Bernie, right, for sure. That definitely is has a lot of input in there, and between the other two plans as well. So certainly we can definitely hit the ground running with the voice of the community as has been documented to date. And then, eventually we will be having to create our own plan as well, incorporating the knowledge base of documentation that pretty exists, plus public input going forward, but that's certainly down the road as we move on. Okay, is there anything else to discuss? And for item 7, reviewing applicable studies and reports to CPA. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next topic, which is setting our next meeting. And I think we already have a date that we have in mind, which is that Monday, November 1st, 6 p.m. to have the Community Preservation Coalition provide their training to us, and then to take other business as needed for that at the end of that meeting. Do we have a motion for having the meeting on November 1st as described?
Motion to hold our next meeting on November 1st.
Second.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Steve?
I think that the motion for that next meeting has already been taken care of, but it's not going to hurt to have a redundancy. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. All right, and again, I really appreciate the walkthrough as well as I get through this as well. Thank you so much. Gail, you have a hand raised?
Yeah, I have a question. Maybe I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but are we planning on having monthly meetings or like on Mondays, or have we set that yet, or will that be set after the November 1st meeting? When are we going to set our regular schedule of meetings?
Well, I think with all of us on today and the doodle poll that I prepared, it looked like Monday evenings worked best for most, but if anyone has any glaring conflicts, we should definitely talk about them in person tonight. We can also talk about it further after the training to really understand what the lift is. Should we be meeting once a month, once a quarter, once every 6 months? I personally don't know. I can have the staff look up what other communities are meeting on when they're first ramping up, because there's the ramp up process and the preparing of the prioritization plan, and then you get into a groove after that of reviewing projects and appropriating those projects to town meeting. So if we can just have a general discussion tonight, if Monday evenings work best, and if they do, we can decide after the training of how often or frequently we should meet.
Okay. So I think why don't we get through the motion to have that meeting, just to close that business. And Rajesh, is your question relative to that vote to meet on Monday the 1st?
Yeah, that's so I was also just a suggestion rather than anything. So if we have a recurring meeting, I think also as what Kristen mentioned, initially recurring maybe a month or 2 months, every 2 months. So we all get used to this process and have all the information at hand. And after some time, maybe we can push it towards like every quarter or whatever it is necessary. Just a suggestion.
Okay. Yes, agree to that. We definitely need a rhythm to get through the initial needs of the committee, and then get into the review later on as project proposals come forward. Okay. So Steve, I guess you're right. It is redundant, but we already have a motion, so we'll just carry on with the business and then get into other business. All right. Roll call on having the next meeting November 1st. Steve?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rajesh?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, we will meet on November 1st. That concludes that meeting, that topic. Now we're on to other business. So if we'd like to carry on about, is there any other questions or comments relative to that meeting schedule that you want to discuss? Steve?
I just want to reaffirm, for myself, Mondays at this time frame, I foresee not having any planned issues going forward. So for me, it's the most convenient. I'm just laying where my schedule is currently.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, so typically for me, Mondays are not an issue. There are going to be times when 6 may not work for me just because of my work schedule. I don't know if there's a way that and I'm not trying to inconvenience anybody here on this call. That's not my intention. I'm not trying to make it about me either, but sometimes 7 o'clock is a better time frame for me, just given my current work schedule.
Anyone else? Steve?
I just want to say 7 o'clock is perfectly fine on my end as well. So if everyone else is fine with Mondays at 7, I don't have any objection to that at all.
All right, now see anybody else coming, I'll weigh in. I agree as well. I think 7 p.m. is a better time. I think right now, while some people are working from home, when normalcy gets back, I think the commute time will also be a factor as well, and putting that pressure on that 6 p.m. time frame. So I personally would like to see 7 p.m. as well on Mondays. Is there, Kristen, is there any opportunity to meet in person at this time frame? Should that be the will of the committee?
So boards and committees are meeting in person, socially distanced in the selectmen's meeting room. So we can certainly set that up. Rowan, can you just give me some context of your conversation with Stuart at the CPC for November 1st, what his preference was?
I believe we were intending to have that remote. And I believe that is his preference. But I can get back to him if I can't recall if we discussed it or not, but I know he intends to do it via Zoom.
Okay. I think given that he would be coming out of Boston area, I think it would be okay to continue, in my personal opinion, to have that as a remote meeting, just to keep that as planned, but see if we could meet in person thereafter. Kathy?
I was just going to ask, is that the only topic we're going to be covering on the 1st? Because we could potentially meet in person and then have him via Zoom or whatever medium we're using, Google or whatever it is.
So we are right now retrofitting the room to become hybrid. We're not quite there yet for remote and in person. So I think I would recommend our November 1st meeting to be remote. I would like to know, would people rather a 7 o'clock start on the 1st rather than a 6 o'clock start? It will be a full 2-hour training. So just want to get the temperature of the committee on that.
Kathy?
I'm turned into a pumpkin around 8:30. So that'll be late.
Okay. Steve?
I think the 6 o'clock time frame, as long as everybody's okay with it, for the 2-hour training session, certainly makes sense for this next meeting.
Deb?
I agree. For a longer agenda, starting earlier makes sense. I mean, 10 years of the Shrewsbury Youth Soccer Board, I'm used to endless meetings, but so I don't get pumpkin-y, but that sounds good.
All right. Jim, you had expressed, obviously the timing issue. Is 6 p.m. work for you on that specific date?
That'll be fine for that date. Jason, thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments about 6 p.m. start on Monday, November 1st for that meeting specifically? Okay, hearing none. Okay, so then we would also look for future meetings to be a 7 o'clock start on Mondays, and we can continue that discussion at our next meeting, but with intention of thought of 7 p.m. on Mondays at some regular timing that we will discuss at that time. Okay, any other new business? All right.
No, I think just Rowan will be your staff contact from here moving forward. So Jason, you'll be working with her on the setting of the agendas and whatnot. And if any other board or committee member has questions, to go through her. So you're in great hands with that.
All right. Well, Rowan, thank you very much, and going to be an invaluable resource to the committee. Really appreciate your time on this. Thank you. All right. If we have no other topics, then can I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right. On to a roll call. Deb,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Rajesh,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and
Yes.
who's did I get? Gail. Yes. See, I told you we have to get in person so I can see you. Thank you very much. All right, and that is a wrap. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you,
Have a
everybody.
great
Thanks,
evening.
everyone.
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thanks for setting this up.